Service is selfish. As wrong and as twisted as that sounds, that's where I started. When I was young, I didn't serve because I was exceptionally kind or wise enough to understand what service truly meant. Honestly, looking back, I think I was much more closer to a self-interested brat who cared more about how I looked than who I was. And honestly, I served because everybody in my community was serving. My parents, my school, my church, everybody made it seem normal. So growing up, I made space for winter service trips, baking sales, and charity work. And honestly, I liked how service made me feel. That warm tingle in your heart, it made me feel useful, important, needed, and almost like a tiny hero for a day. As I grew up, service became more than something that I just liked and enjoyed. It became a tool. Sometimes I needed the hours, sometimes I needed to write something on my resume, but most of the times I just liked the image that it sculpted of me as a good person. And all that time I told myself that I was helping other people. And yes, I was, but I was also helping myself by building this image of myself. During service trips, I remember walking into homes with thin walls and tin roofs, the kind of houses that make you wonder if it's really even possible to survive a winter there. I remember meeting families that had one pair of shoes for every single occasion, but their shoes, they were worn out. I also remember walking into a bedroom that had 5 beds, but was supposed to serve 12 people. So unconsciously, in the back of my mind, I started to compare myself. Well, I thought, I have a warm house, and I have shoes that I can choose from, and I also have my own room. So I thought to myself, and I positioned myself comfortably as the giver, someone who was bringing something that these people didn't have. Years later, our church hosted a dental clinic, the one that we host every single year as part of our youth service. As every year does, the room was buzzing with hopes and nerves. In that specific shift, I remember, I had signed up for a type that I had to wake up at 4 a.m., start my shift at 5 a.m., and go till lunch. So the next 7 hours of my life looked like this. I was throwing bloody gauze. I was calling patient after patient. I was sanitizing the station over and over again, and I was changing glove after glove that my hands were chalked white. And at that point, I had lost whatever feel-good, warm tingle glow that I had started with. Honestly, I was just tired, I wanted to go home, and I was hungry. So as I called my next patient, I noticed her very young daughter, around 6 years old, who gazed tightly to her chair as her mother was called. And then she gave me that stare that only kids have when they're nervous, but they're not really trying to show it. So when her mother's procedure finished, she came running. Not to the dentist, but to me. She threw her arms around my waist, she pressed her face against my shirt, and she whispered, "Thank you for saving my mom." And I was clearly no doctor, and I hadn't saved anyone's life. But at that moment, to her, I mattered. And all that time that I thought I was giving, I realized that I had done something wrong. Because that hug gave me something that even I didn't know I needed. A reason deeper than any recognition or resumes. Because at first, service can feel like it's all about you, about the hours that you get, the recognition that you earn, and the stories that you will tell in the future. But if you keep showing up for even all the wrong reasons, something definitely changes. Because after that 7-hour shift, I wasn't asking myself, how did I look doing it? No. I was asking myself, God, why? Why did I make myself do that? And who was I becoming while doing this? C.S. Lewis once wrote that humility isn't about thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. Service didn't erase my self-interest. Rather, it gave me a redirection. It taught me that helping myself and helping others aren't two separate things, but rather they're things that can go hand by hand. It's not about sacrificing yourself and giving up entirely. No, it's about learning and being able to put that person and that moment as a priority. Because service that erases your dignity isn't true service at all. And a lot of people think that service only shows up in the big label moments like service trips and winter clinics. But the truth is that I think service shows up better in the small, ordinary moments of life. For example, that friend who needed somebody to listen late at night, or that friend who was new and needed somebody to talk to, or even cleaning after a mess that you didn't make. Like my dad teaches me, 진짜 아름다운 사람은 뒷모습도 아름다운 거야. That means true beauty shows even after you've left. And the truth is that my dad used to tell me that so that I would clean up after myself. But it also taught me something very important about service. True, beautiful service stays even after you've left. It impacts long enough so that even if you're gone, that service lives there. And I wondered to myself, so what really changed with me? So how did things become different? And I think after that hug, I realized that I had to be honest with myself. I like the image that I got with service. So once that I could say that, and once I could admit that, it lost its grip, and it no longer controlled me. Next came being able to give the attention. For example, learning the names, or even making eye contact, or even noticing that subtle change of body language when somebody gets nervous. After those service trips, I learned that true service wasn't about the moments that you were just showing on camera. Because after that change in perspective, I learned that even the smallest things can feel different. For example, translating was no longer just words. It was giving back somebody their voice. And cleaning the station, it wasn't just busy work. It was setting up the next person for success. And even calling those name of their patients, that wasn't just another patient, another number. That was bringing somebody into a place that I could say, I see you. So the truth is that service didn't erase my self-interest, nor did it make me a better person. And then it taught me the cycle of service. It's not about those moments where you say, because I give time and I get effort and I put in the perspective and I get humility. It's not that you make a transaction. Rather, it's a redirection. It's a place where you can think to yourself that, no, I'm doing things differently. And at that moment, I remember that hug. That hug, that call from our friends saying, thank you for listening. And those returns just kept on coming. That little girl thought that I saved her mom. But the truth was that she saved me from a smaller story about myself. All those hours that I thought that I was giving away, and all that effort that I thought I was giving away, had come back. Because even though my service started selfish, it came back as something much more than I had expected. So today, I want to leave you with this. Maybe the best kind of selfishness is the kind that you care for others, because that always seems to circle back. Thank you so much.